Hans von Spakovsky, the former emperor of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
All right, Hans joining us this morning, as he always does on a Monday, and that was Kevin Hassett there. Clearly, Margaret Brennan wanted to pin him down, I guess, on the War Powers Act, Hans. But is it a gray area as to whether or not that was up on the 1st of May, or because of the ceasefire that extends it by that amount of time?
I think it's a gray area, but in any event, it doesn't really matter because every single president, Democrat and Republican, that has been in office since the War Powers Resolution Act got passed has said that it's unconstitutional, that it infringes on the president's power as commander-in-chief. Now, those presidents have, nominally complied with it by giving notice to Congress when they initiate military actions, but the idea that somehow the president is violating the law if they continue beyond the time period in it, like I said, how is Congress ever going to enforce anything like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was paying attention on Friday. Kim brought this up, reminding me of it this morning, on this judge's ruling on mifepristone and the fact that you can't mass mail this thing. I mean, there are all sorts of medical complications a woman can have when trying to do a self-induced abortion at home. Nobody seems to have any concerns over that, but now a judge has stepped in. So I wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Well, in fact, yes. I mean, the Fifth Circuit basically upheld a stay. Louisiana went to court saying they had incontrovertible evidence that all these pharmacies and companies in California were basically flooding Louisiana with this drug by mail and thus violating Louisiana's laws. And they asked for the judge to say that drug can only be dispensed in person, so that Louisiana women basically can have, medical advice and to comply with the state's abortion law. That injunction was issued, and on Saturday, actually, two of the companies filed an emergency appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court. So it's now up before the U.S. Supreme Court, and they're asking the court to dissolve that injunction so they can continue to dispense this drug into Louisiana from outside the state.
So this would mean then if this were to continue to be a thing where these companies are told they can't just mail it to somebody without an in-person appointment, then the company could be sued, I guess, if they were found to be mailing these pills to the women?
Yeah, yes, exactly right. And, what they're asking, look, they're not saying, that is Louisiana, isn't saying you have to completely quit supplying it to the state. Louisiana just says, it has to go to a pharmacy. It has to be dispensed in person, and the pharmacies there can only dispense it if they're complying with the state's law, which basically bans most abortions only with a few exceptions.
Wow. I have to ask, because we talk a lot about election integrity. Did you hear the story? Did you hear the story about this Michigan Senate candidate? Her name is Mallory McMorrow, and apparently she admitted in a tweet a while back, she was bragging about it, that even though she was living in Michigan, and that she announced on Twitter she was a full-time Michigan resident, that she was still voted in California. Go to cut number 5 quickly, please.
I want to dig a little bit deeper here because the K-File report showed that you wrote in your 2025 autobiography that you, quote, relocated permanently to Michigan in 2014. But there are social media posts of yours where you describe yourself as a California resident in 2016. And the reason why this is an issue is because you voted in June 2016 Democratic primary in California. And I don't need to tell you, but of course you're required to vote in the state you're a resident of. So why would you be voting in California 2 years after moving to Michigan?
So we decided to move to Michigan in 2014. I was still working in Southern California. My then boyfriend, now husband, was working in Michigan. Like a lot of millennials, moving takes time.
That's enough. Moving takes time. So rules for thee, but not for me, right, Hans?
No, that's exactly right. And that's just on top of so many other stories recently. The Justice Department, keeps indicting aliens for registering and voting. They just went after another 4. And as you know, Mark, actually, that must all be fake news. None of that's happening because, the left says there's never any election fraud.
Oh no, there's nothing to see here. Please, these motor voter laws. You can get a driver's license. Guess what? You're automatically registered to vote. They didn't ask if you're a citizen or not. You're just signed up.
Right, and that's particularly a problem in California and other states that automatically register folks. And as you know, there's a lot going on in the election area because we now have special sessions that have been called in, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, all of them saying we're going to redistrict our congressional seats.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. Hans, thank you, my friend. Have a great week.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hans von Spakovsky with Advancing American Freedom, senior legal fellow there these days. Coming up,